We got Coach JV, John Vasquez in the house.
All of this that we're about to talk about financially is from a spiritual sense. I mean, we're going through a radical transformation spiritually, financially, economically. I moved back in with my parents at 43 years. So imagine I knock on the door and my pops opens the door and I could feel it, the shame. So I put the key in the door and this is what I said. I was like, God, I'm still learning about you. I still am trying to figure this out. I believe in you, but if I turn this key, I am not turning back. I'm surrendering this business to you. Turned the key, click, went back in. We started helping people. My crypto portfolio started exploding. But my point is, it led me to my passion. It led me to the brand is Refined Integrity, which became a men's coaching program. But my point is, don't ever do things to make money. Do it to serve humanity.
Peace, fam. Adam Jackson here with another episode of the Sacred Sons podcast. Brothers and sisters, today I'm fired all the way up. We got Coach JV, John Vasquez in the house, and he is here to strengthen our financial pillar. He's here to bring freedom. He's here to bring us into a new mindset about how we can approach these truly challenging times. Coach JV, welcome to Sacred Sons podcast.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here, brother. Appreciate it. Love your channel too, man. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. We're building a global brotherhood and a community of men who simply want to do better in their lives, make better choices. And as Sacred Sons, our work can be distilled down to the pillars of faith, family, fitness, and finances. And so I'm so honored to have you here. And let me just give you guys an intro for those who don't know Coach JV. He is a former banking VP turned entrepreneur. He's the founder of the 3T Warrior Academy, and he is helping thousands of people to achieve that freedom mindset around their finances. He's backed by his online presence with over 2 million followers. Sacred Sons, let's build this generational wealth. Welcome, Coach JV.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be here, man.
All right. And Coach, with everything happening in the world, with everything that is present for you in your world, what is most alive within you today?
What's most alive with me is Jesus Christ, man. the return of Christ, man. He's always been here, but Jesus Christ is returning. Bible sales are through the roof. And all of this that we're about to talk about financially is from a spiritual sense. I mean, we're going through a radical transformation spiritually, financially, economically, from the micro to the macrocosm. Not only is our world changing, but we are changing. And what we're experiencing right now is a cycle that has happened in humanity over and over and over again. And, talking to the sacred brothers, like this is an opportunity for us as men to really rise up into that higher consciousness, which is to what I call divine masculine, right? We're to protect our family, our ecosystem. And it's been amazing, man, to really dive into this and do it from a spiritual sense, because my whole life up until I left as an executive was from a material living for the world sense. And it's very different building wealth kingdom wise versus material wise. Very different.
Yes. Building wealth kingdom wise. And, we talk on Sacred Sons podcast a lot about generational trauma, generational and lineal healing. We do this work so that we can heal our lineages. And there is such a important component to the pillar of finances, that how are we actually healing our lineages if we're not providing in a way that is sustainable, and not only sustainable, but regenerative. And so let's start right here with the faith, and it's in this order for a reason: faith, family, fitness, and finances. The faith, the connection to spirit, the connection to God, in your case, the connection to Christ. It's such an important relationship to tend to. Our families is our foundation. And for the brothers who are working towards calling in that partner, that divine union, your family is really the rock, right? And you are the pillar of your family. And the fitness, right? We have to be here. We have to be healthy. We have to be strong if we're going to hold a family, if we're going to hold that connection to God. We actually have to focus on our fitness and then the finances. So how I wanted to start with you is, could you give us a little bit about your story? I know you weren't born wealthy. I don't believe this happened overnight. Maybe you have a story that can resonate with some of the folks who are listening.
Yeah, I'll take you back to December 18th, 2006, 18 years ago, I attempted suicide due to a massive opiate addiction. Living for the world, man. I mean, it's a pretty deep story that goes into a lot of trauma as a child that I didn't know how to properly operate within as I became an adult, went in the military, got out of the military, went into bodybuilding. I was looking for edification from the world, like didn't really have a great father figure within my life. My father was there, but didn't really teach me anything. I didn't know about God. I didn't know about Jesus. I knew Christmas was Santa Claus and Easter Bunny was Easter. And so the ironic thing is, you won't go too deep into the story, but after a massive opiate addiction for 4 years, I attempted to take my life, taking a massive amount of opiates. And that was the first time, which is very interesting. I knelt down and I prayed and I said, "Dear Father God," and I'd never prayed in my life. I'd never been introduced to prayer, never been introduced to God or Jesus Christ. And for some reason, I prayed to something. And 48 hours later, I woke up from a phone call from my mom. She had no idea. She woke me up from an attempted suicide. And that's where this journey started 18 years ago. Ironically, I wasn't ready for the Bible. I wasn't ready for any type of deep spirituality, but the book, The Secret, actually. And at a very elementary level, it was like thoughts become things. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then I looked at my reality that I was living all the way up to suicide. I'm like, I created all of this.
Wow.
It was my thoughts. It was my actions. It was my behaviors done for a long enough period of time to access that paradigm. And what I asked for, I got. The environment was created by me. And I was like, well, I'm broke now. I can't take care of my 3-year-old daughter. She's being taken from me. Let's try this positivity. Let's try this believing in yourself. Let's try this forgiveness and all this woo-woo stuff. Well, 18 years later, a very, very different environment that I live in. And it's been a deep journey. I started with Buddhism, then went into, kind of like non-denominational church Christianity, which it didn't work for me. And then I went into plant medicines and spirits. I've been on this crazy journey. And then when I found Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life, my whole life changed. And that journey's been really the last 5 years for me.
Wow. What was different? What was different when Christ entered into your heart?
Gosh, man. I'm trying not to cry when I talk about this, man. But it's a feeling, man. It's a feeling. It's not a thing. It's not a Bible verse. It's not a vain repetition. It's not the church I went to. It's not the men I was around. It was a feeling of safety. It was a feeling of security. It was a feeling of knowing that I'm always connected to the vine and that I'm unconditionally loved, and I felt. It was when I was in Peru. I was sitting in a garden and I just felt, I saw people talk about the Holy Spirit, and I used to judge people and sure, the Holy Spirit, yeah, whatever, and then I felt it. I was like, it was this embodiment. It came through my whole body. I never felt love like that in my life. And I was like, wow, God has always been, always will be. Jesus Christ came to show me that it is finished, that I'm aiming for perfection, knowing it's not possible, it must be the aim. And my whole life changed. It was a feeling that was in my heart. And then from that point on, I went back to the Bible and the Bible came alive. It was no longer this foreign language that I was reading. Before it was like, I couldn't understand it. And then I realized why he spoke in parables, because then it opened up to me and I'm like, wow, I'm living completely incorrectly. And yeah, that's how it started. I felt the Holy Spirit. I don't go to a church. I don't think there's anything wrong with church or religion or groups. I think that for me, I'm with Jesus Christ all day.
Yeah. And if you follow the actual teachings of Christ from the Bible, he is telling us, split a piece of wood and I am there. Lift a rock and I am there. And so it's like, Jesus, his whole thing was about not tearing down the temple, but awakening others to the idea that the temple is not where God resides. God resides in the temple of your heart, and in the service that we have a responsibility to be in service to one another. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I wonder if there is a particular teaching, a moment. There's a lot of men in Sacred Sons, and I wanted to say this: we are accepting of all faiths in our brotherhood. And I honor our Jewish brothers who bring in the Sabbath and the Shabbat prayers before our Friday night dinners. I honor our Muslim brothers who bring in their praying 5 times a day. And at Sacred Sons events, we'll get down and pray with you. Like that's an important part of the culture broadly, I believe, in unity of all faiths. Yeah. But is there a particular teaching or wisdom that you've come into over these 5 years that you could share with the brothers listening?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I think about with the essence of what Jesus Christ was teaching us is what's happening now, the area of authenticity, right? He says to get in the kingdom of heaven is to be like these lowly children, right? And so when I started to understand that I was operating so logical, facts, figures, numbers, logic, world, it has to be this way, this success looks like this. And I started getting more of the right hemisphere of my brain, which is a childlike state of mind, being creative and accepting, just like you said, of all religions, all faiths. We have a huge community too. We have, Church of Latter-day Saints, we have Catholic, we have Jehovah's Witness. And the thing that I thought about with that is, because I experienced this when we came out of the pandemic, is, we were arguing as humans about mask and vax and non-vax. And then when it finally all got freed up, my son and I went to this big play place, right? And there's all these kids, there were hundreds of kids. There's like a bunch of caged animals got out and they got to go out and see each other. Some kids were wearing masks, some kids weren't. Not one kid went up to the other kid and said, why are you wearing a mask? Are you vaccinated? They were like, hey, do you want to play? Yes. And then my son would be like, I get chills. My son's like, this is my best friend. They met like 15 minutes later, has a mask on. My son wasn't like, why is he wearing it? Didn't care. He's like, listen, I trust that you're a good person. I can feel that. Let's go play. Let's be friends. And so for me, I started to operate in that childlike state of mind, still having the responsibilities of building businesses and ecosystems and stuff. But I started to really understand what Jesus really wanted us to do. He wanted us to love our neighbor. I mean, really love our neighbor, right? And this is something I learned I just got back from Peru, and God and Jesus Christ can love us unconditionally. But I realized I try, but I can't love unconditionally. I have conditions on my love. I do. And I think that's the essence of it. Like knowing that Jesus Christ and God love me unconditionally. But as a conscious being trying to aim for perfection, knowing it's not possible, I do have conditions on my love, right? And I think that's the human experience that we go through, and battling through those conditions and trying to heal our soul while we're here to get as close as we can to the vine or Jesus Christ. But that's the biggest teaching for me. And I have a 9-year-old son, and my daughter turns 21 tomorrow, and she went through this whole journey with me, from suicide. She was 3 when I committed suicide, opiate addict, right, to now she's this beautiful young lady. So my daughter's got to see me go through this evolutionary process. But my son was raised with my spiritual awakening, and to see him transition from 9 now to 10 years old, from nurture now to nature. Now I'm teaching him how to be a man, how he's going from this innocent, everything is good, life is peachy, to like noticing his body. Oh, Dad, I have a little bit of a chunky belly. Like he's going conscious now, the worldly, right? He's becoming conscious. I'm like, it's so beautiful to experience that and see that, where our conscious mind kicks in, and then we attach to these worldly things. Oh, I should look this way, or Dad, it should be this way. And I'm like, son, I love you no matter what. There is conditions though. There is conditions. This is how we live. We pray over our food in my family. That's a condition.
Yes.
Right? We pray before we go to bed. When our feet hits the floor, we pray. That's the first thing that we do. Those are conditions. Those are conditions that I put on my family and my kids on how we live within our house. And I started to really think about that. But a child and Jesus Christ and God are unconditional. There's no conditions on their love, right? And so I've just been thinking, I don't know if that's relative to what we're talking about. It's just something I've been thinking a lot about. It's like, man, how do we get as close to that unconditional love as we can, right? Knowing that we do need to put conditions, and that's what helped me become wealthy in a spiritual way, is that I do have boundaries, and I do have conditions on the way that I'll live my life. Like, for example, my creed is God, family, protect your ecosystem at all costs, and stay out of other men's business because I'm too busy working on mine. It's a creed that we live by. We honor God in everything we do. So those are all conditions, right? You come into my ecosystem and you try to get me to stop talking about God, you're out. That's a condition, right? So I've been really struggling with that actually since I came back from Peru. Because I'm like, man, because I was like preaching, oh, I'm unconditionally loving to people. I'm like, no, I do have conditions.
What I hear in that, and I agree with you, we are all flawed humans, and we get the opportunity to accept ourselves and others, flaws and all. That's an opportunity. And knowing that we're not perfect, for me, it's passion over perfection. And it's like when you're passionate about something, of course, it's not going to be perfect. If you're working on that big talk or that big project, it's never going to fucking be perfect.
Never.
It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to turn out the way you thought.
Yeah. However, isn't that the beauty in it?
That is the beauty. But if you're passionate about it, if your belief in it overrides your doubt, your fears, your guilt, your shame, all of it, passion over perfection every time.
Yes. I love that.
And then, I want to just to relate to you personally. I'm a father of 4. I have 3 sons, and a baby girl. And I'm a young dad. My oldest is 10. That's Noah. My son Holland is 5. My son Johan is 3, and my daughter Winona is 1. And so, I'm raising them within this big active service that is Sacred Sons, and that is truly just trying to be of service to, again, my family, my community, and through that to all of humanity. If we individually focus on ourselves first, our families and our communities, then we are in service to humanity. And that's what I believe, not only Christ, but all of the prophets, all of the greats, even the modern day prophets. I believe Bob Marley is a modern day prophet.
Yes.
And he's calling in that unity, one love, one heart, one tribe, one human family. And if we devote ourselves to our families, I believe that we will get there. And so that active service is it.
To heal the world. I mean, that's how we heal the world. We heal ourselves, man. And that's an act of service within yourself and out there. Cause you can't fill an empty cup, man. So it's like, that's one thing too with wealth building. It's like made myself the last and I became the first. It was interesting. Everything was different. It was like, oh, how much can I make? How much can I do? Then I started being like, wait a minute. How much wealth can I create for other people? How much freedom can I create for other people? How can I get my team member to buy their first home? And then everything flipped for me. I was like, wow, now I understand when they say the last becomes the first, right? Because the feeling of, like you said, bringing that family together, that feeling where you're sitting back and you're like, my ecosystem is protected, especially as a man. I think that is the greatest fulfillment for a man. There's no drug, there's no car, there's no house, there's no experience that I've ever experienced like having my whole ecosystem taken care of.
Wow. Yeah.
And to me, that's kingdom building. To me, that's what Jesus Christ represented. He was making sure his people were taken care of. It doesn't matter who they were. He was, wherever he went, he was working to take care of people, but he was empowering them, right? Empowering them to take care of themselves. And I think that's the beauty of it, that he gave us, he died on the cross, he rose back up, and he's like, you can do this.
Yeah.
I always say, he's undefeated. I mean, it's like, we can't keep his name out of our mouth. It doesn't matter if you like him, you don't like him. Why are we still talking about him today? Because he empowered us so deeply that we know he's there. Like, he's in our heart. You can't deny him. Like, it's like, and that's where my radical transformation, I've gone to Peru, I've done ayahuasca, I've done plant medicines, I've done all this stuff. I've done all this stuff trying to find Jesus and God, and it's always been right here, man. Right. Like, there's nowhere to go, man. It's like he's in this conversation,
He's in this conversation. And I mean, I love this Louis C.K. joke where he's just like, if you don't believe in Jesus, just look at the calendar. They reset the whole calendar based on this dude's birth. Why do you think we're in the year 2025? Because 2025 years ago, or thereabout, this Son of God was born. And it was so significant, as deemed by the people of that time, that they reset the whole clock. So therefore we are living in the time of Christ consciousness. It's not, for me, it's not about the man or even the conversation of man or God, deity. It's not for actually any of us to know. And if somebody's telling you they know it, question it. But what you can understand is that the people who lived around that time thought it was such a significant event that we should base the time that we're in around that. And I believe that the consciousness that we are in is one of love thy neighbor.
Oh yeah. Yes. Aquarius. I mean, went into full Aquarius and we're in the age of Aquarius. It's the area of authenticity. That's why it's not by chance why you're seeing all the darkness be exposed, not by chance why you're seeing stars get exposed and all their, these ecosystems are crumbling. And financial, this is, the brothers out there, you have to understand the financial ecosystem, the old system is dying. It's an old archaic system that's dealt in greed and chaos and financial slavery, and we're breaking into this new decentralized cooperation, communication. You can create stuff on the blockchain, and you can build, and you can actually take sovereignty of your wealth. We just bought a company with our own Bitcoin, like a loan, and I didn't have to go to a bank.
Wow.
I'm like, it's like true. This is what it's cooperation. The borders, not physically, but metaphysically, are breaking down, where somebody making baskets in Africa, if they have a phone, they can now sell their basket, right? They can sell it. It's wild what's happening, and it's not. And Jesus told us this time was coming. A man with a pitcher is coming, right? And it's here, where it's an area of, you can't deny it. I mean, and that's what's cool about this. And like, when we're talking about finances, it's all it's all connected: financial, spiritual, fitness,
Yes.
all of it. And what's done in darkness is coming to light right now. You can't run from it. And so it's okay to face it. Like, if you're in a position right now where you've been planting the reason why things are working out for me now is because it took me 18 years. I planted so many bad seeds that I had to bear that fruit. And so my life used to look like this the first 6, 7, 8, and then it's like, and then the last 15 to the last 3 years, now it's like this. Right. So I'm like that's why I understand now Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the middle ground. He's like, the middle ground. Don't be too high. Don't be too low. When abundance comes in, put some in a storehouse, right? When it collapses, pull some out of the storehouse. And it's like, stop buying stuff, start buying things that add to your ecosystem. And, it's beautiful to talk about this because like, I always speak to men's hearts. I'm like, it's time. Men have to start to tap in to that internal voice, right? And we need to start suffering with purpose, man. We really do.
Let me ask you this, because I've also seen in some of your videos, you've had like your first 5 businesses failed.
Oh yeah.
Yep. This is not something that you acquired overnight, or you're not some overnight wonder. And in fact, the folks that are selling you that it's going to be easy and it's going to be immediate, I would also question that.
Please do.
But like, what is the first step? Knowing that like trial and error is a real part of this. What is the first step for our brothers who are out there? Like I personally also came from a long career as an engineer. I had the 401k. I was building that way. It was fulfilling for a time, but at the same time, it wasn't fueling my purpose in life. So I'm on this ride with you. I'm on this ride with all the folks who are listening. How do we begin to make that leap? And what are some of the first steps people should be making?
Yeah, the first step is, people look for purpose when you should look for what lights you up, your passion. Through your passion, you'll find your purpose. Right. So for example, I was sitting there in corporate America as a vice president of a bank, miserable. Went to executive banking school. Next level was regional president. I'm like, that's all we're looking for, the next level. And I just kept buying stuff. I never was wealthier. I had much of stuff, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm daydreaming about, I'm studying, Christ, and I'm studying spirituality, and I'm studying the Rockefellers, and I'm studying these economic systems and the falls and rise of that's what I did on my passion. That's what I did. When I wasn't with my kids, I was studying all this stuff, and I'm like, what if I just follow that passion? Now, I did, but there's a guarantee I'm going to give you, 100% guarantee that you're going to fail. It's 100%, because that's part of the process. You cannot gain. So knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. I had the knowledge. I did the funnel hacking. I did all the stuff. I hired gurus while I was in corporate America, and I launched my first program. After 6 months of leaving corporate America, nobody signed up. I was like, wait a minute, I have all this knowledge. I did the funnel hacking. I did the online program. I did everything you're supposed to do. I did the marketing. I did all the social media posts every day. Nobody signed up. So the first thing you need to understand is follow your passion. Don't try to find purpose. Follow passion, which your purpose will come out of that passion. So I didn't know that I was going to be teaching finances again. I had no idea. I was like, I did a video, and be careful what you ask for with God. I did a video because everything was failing. Everything was falling apart. I cashed out my 401k. I'd lost all my savings. And I did a YouTube video, and I said, so one thing you're going to fail. Follow your passion, your purpose will come out. Number 1, you're going to fail. That's part of the process. That's how you gain wisdom. And number 2, you have to develop discipline and consistency. I mean, that is the key, not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It's bullshit. Like motivation, I'm not motivated to go to the gym. I'm disciplined and consistent. I'm motivated after I work out. I'm like, okay, that's motivating, feels good. People are always seeking motivation and dopamine. That's dopamine, is temporary.
Right.
Discipline and consistency is where it's at. And so as I went through this process, I was like, wow, I was trying to find everybody and nobody could see me. In 2018, I finally got so frustrated, and I was like, this isn't working. And I started actually showing people on social authenticity. I was like, I'm driving Uber at night, guys. I went from executive, having this nice home on a golf course, lost all my cars, lost everything, and I just, one night I picked up my phone. I'm like, I'm lying. I'm lying. Like, I'm literally coming on social, guys, you got to crush it 19 hours a day. I'm living this false reality. You're this highlight reel that wasn't really, there was no highlights. Everything was going away. And I was driving Uber at night. I was trying to pay the bills. And
what was that feeling? What did you actually feel during that time?
Shame, man. Yeah. Shame, failure. I could hear my father going, "I told you so," because that was one of the biggest things that I was struggling with. Is I'm fully healed. I love my father. Like, we don't have a great relationship, but he is the greatest mentor in my life, because I am who I am because of the father he was. And he's a great human, but I've healed through that, right? And so my point behind that is my father's father created lines for him to always, he was never good enough. And then he just did the same thing to me. And I realized he was doing the best he could with the limited resources he had. That's all he knew how to do it. So I remember sitting there and going, because of my dad, when I left corporate America, I mean, Cinderella story, suicide, drug addict to a vice president of a bank. Like, that's crazy, right? And then I tell him, I walk out of corporate America, and that was when I started to become a man. And I was like, my mom's like, "You got to tell your dad." I'm like, "I'm not telling dad. I'm just doing it. I'm 41 years old. Like, I don't need to tell my dad what I'm doing." Well, he was right. It failed. And so there, I remember sitting in my car going, holy shit, he was right. Or he's not, right? And I said, this is a moment where I just felt it. I was like, you got to be authentic. So I did a story that night. I was driving Uber. I'm like, "Guys, I'm lying. Like, I'm broke. I've lost everything. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you on the journey of how I'm going to make this work. And I'm going to become a warrior in a modern day society." Well, God's like, "You're not battle tested yet. You know, you've been through some drug addictions and stuff like, but I haven't battled. You want to be a warrior and you want to train men to become warriors. And this is okay, cool." So he took everything from me, brother. Like, everything. My house, my car, was getting divorced. I mean, everything just completely fell apart. And then finally, my fifth business took off. Alex Hermosi, I went through his early before he exploded, and I went through his gym launch program. Our business took off, and then everything was going good. Then COVID comes, man, and they shut our business down.
This was a gym that you were running?
A gym, yeah, it's right next door. So we have a Warrior. So we have a Warrior Academy is fitness. Same with you guys, fitness, mindset, subconscious mind programming, generational wealth building. So it's evolved into like a conglomerate of companies. But it was just a gym, mindset, get your shit together, right? Things like that, warrior training. They shut us down, and I'm like, this is where everything changed for me, Adam. It was like, so I was sitting there. I finally got the business going. I'm starting to finally get a paycheck, and then they take it away, right? I had a nice crypto portfolio. I wasn't touching it. I was like, because I knew where it was going. I'm like, I'm not touching it. Well, they come and shut our stores down. We lost all our money once again, third time in my life. I'm like, so I'm sitting there going, okay, either this isn't for me or this is a test. Like, I have to learn something. This is exactly what happened. We let go of our last team member. I went outside, called my CFO, and I was like, "Listen, man," I said, "I can't fucking do this anymore. I'm done." And he goes, this is his exact words. He's still my CFO. He worked for 4 years for free for me now. You know, he's a millionaire now. And he goes, "Get back in there. You're a fucking legend." And nobody's ever talked to me like that. He's like, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Get back in there, dude." I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "In the building." And so I go and I put the key in. Yeah. So I put the key in the door, and this is what I said. I was like, "God, I'm still learning about you. I still am trying to figure this out. I believe in you, but if I turn this key, I am not turning back. I'm surrendering this business to you." Turn the key, click, went back in. We started helping people, just helping people free. Like, if you couldn't afford it, we were helping people. My crypto portfolio started exploding. I wasn't going to touch it. So I'm like, listen, I have to humble myself. I need to figure this. So I moved back in with my parents at 43 years. So imagine I knock on the door and my pops opens the door, and I could feel it, the shame. Like, he was just like, but they were, "Come on in." No questions asked, right? But I'm sitting there. They have 1,000 square foot home. I'm at the kitchen table building this business, and he's right there watching baseball. And I can feel it. There's nowhere for me to go. I'm sleeping on the couch. My kids are sleeping in the room and I'm like, and me and my mom went on a walk. I'm trying not to get emotional. Me and my mom went on a walk.
You can get emotional here, bro.
Okay. And I was looking her in the eyes, and I said, "This will never fucking happen again, Mom." And she looked at me and she said, "I believe you." And that's all I needed. She said, "I believe you." And something changed in me. I drew a line in the sand. I mean, literally a line in the sand, like the Grand Canyon. I got on the other side. If you weren't coming with me, you weren't with me. It was like, your mother and brother outside to Jesus. That's not my mother and brother. Therefore, they do not think like me. I was like, I'm going this way. You're coming with me. My kids are coming with me. That's who's coming with me. Right. I drew a line in the sand. I became more committed to the pain of change and staying the same. And then I realized, Adam, I was like, I have to rewire my brain. Because the reason why I moved back in with them is I got to see how they thought about finances, wealth, lack of spirituality, lack of grounding, lack of my dad properly leading the family or giving us any principles or morals. So I said, let's take this as a lesson and let's rewire our brain. So I devoted my life to studying spirituality, raising my son and daughter God's way, kingdom building. I studied King Solomon. I studied, Jesus Christ, Miramata Musashi, Marcus Aurelius, all these very stoic people. I say King Solomon without the lust. I always pray for that without the lust part of it. I don't want to fall into the lust part, but my point is I was like, I have to rewire my brain because I can't pass this down to my kids. And from that point on, I devoted my life to this, is understanding historical, mental, physical, and spiritual patterns. And that's where all this evolved, where I was like, oh shit, this is happening. What we're experiencing is happening to humanity over and over and over again. And Jesus Christ came as a redeemer to show us that it's within us. The cycle is in us. All of us our souls are all experiencing this at a different level. My dad is experiencing it completely different than I am based on the awakening of his soul and the work that he's put in within his current timeline. I'm like, oh, that's where unconditional love comes in. I can't look at him and say, blame him for what he did to me. I can thank him for where he got me to. And to teach me the lessons that I can rewire so that my kids don't have to go through it. Right. And so that's where it all changed for me. And from, 5 years ago, went from broke on my parents' couch to a millionaire investor. And, we have 3 7-figure companies and we have 6 companies total. I don't say that to brag, but I'm telling you, that's what changed. And it was like, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to honor God, to protect my family. Now, what does that mean? Systems, processes, structures, ethics, morals. How do we make decisions? How do we make decisions in our family? We do it through a principle model, right? We have principles. Business is integrity, honesty, uncompromised belief in God. All decisions are made through that model, my whole team. So can we measure the person's integrity, their honesty, and can I speak about God? You can be Buddhist. My CFO's Buddhist. I don't care, but you can't tell me I can't talk about God. I can't. I'm praying at meetings. I'm honoring Jesus Christ. I'm going to wear my cross and I'm going to pray at every single meeting, no matter what religion you believe in. Yeah. That's how I make it. And then family is peace, freedom, and family structure. If anybody disrupts my peace, my freedom, or my family structure, you're out. And that's where the conditions came in. I'm like, oh, dude, I am.
That part about you're out, that's the boundary. That's like the warrior boundary that has to be there. Let me just give you a reflection of what I see here, because I think it's super important for the brothers who are listening. And this is Men's Work 101. It's not about what happens to you. It's about what you make it mean. And so you're broke on the parents' couch. You go there and you don't make it mean that you're a failure and that you're done forever. When you put that key in the door and unlocked it and said, I'm never turning back, what I judge is that you made it mean something that was empowering for your journey. You didn't make it mean that a lot of people, what they'll make that mean is I'm a loser, I'm going to lose forever. You flipped the script on that story and it was so powerful. And on King Solomon's temple were the words, know thyself. And so you took the opportunity, and going back to your childhood home, even seeing your parents maybe in the bedroom that you grew up in, and you used it as an opportunity to learn about who you are, not who your father was, not who your parents projected on you, who you could be, but you took that as an opportunity to learn more about yourself and to know yourself. And I think it's really powerful, because a lot of men out there, they'll make it mean something else.
Yeah.
And so I just want to honor you in this moment to say, like, no, I'm going to keep moving forward. And that sentence from your mother to say, I believe you.
I believe you.
And that's enough.
Enough. I mean, just from that divine feminine, she's like, I believe. And it was just like this shock went through my body. And I was like, okay, well, now when I'm about to give up, I literally close my eyes and I can picture my mom looking at me going, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. Now what's happened is, so if anybody's been through failures, probably a lot of people are listening has been through failures, or maybe you're in that right now. Right. What I can tell you is there's a lot of guilt that I held in, there's been a lot of healing with me and my daughter. My daughter was, went through hell with me when I was I was a full-blown opiate addict with her 1 to 4 years old, pretty much, about going 3.5, going on 4. Then I went into being an executive, and I was focused on being an executive and working 19 hours a day, the grind culture, right? So I wasn't a good father. I was not a good father to her. And then she's going into high school, and then we literally have to move back with my parents as she's going into high school. It's like, what is going on, Dad? But from that point on, she got to see me heal through this journey, and she's healed through it with me. Now she works with me full time. She's an investor. She's going to be a millionaire by the time she's 30. We literally together are rewiring our family lineage. We're doing it together. And my son is living in it. So the guilt that I felt, and I want to speak to men's hearts right now, is the guilt that I felt. And on her 20th birthday, she turns 21 tomorrow. On her 20th birthday, I went to her and I said, I just want to apologize. I said, I want to ask for your forgiveness because I feel guilty. I said, you see the way that I'm raising John, and you see how engaged I am and how this. And she said, I've forgiven you a long time ago. She says, I'm proud of who you've become. And so if you're in that situation right now where you feel like, because a lot of it comes from guilt, and you stay in that situation, oh, my kids think of me this way. They think of you the way that you've become. Right? They see you evolve. And I think that's more important, is to see you evolve than be stuck in who you've become. Right? And so I hope that hits someone's heart out there, because that was something I was really struggling with. And I'm like, man, and she sees me for who I am today. And the interesting thing is, they did an interview with her one time, and they asked her if she remembers me as a drug addict. She goes, all I remember is my dad as my hero.
Wow.
That's all she remembered, man. So the point of that is, like, you said something powerful that made me think of that. It's like, know thyself. Know thyself through the whole process. Whoever you are today is who thyself is within this current moment, but it can always change. It can always change, because and I had to go through all these things. What someone's going through right now, you have to go through it, right? It's part of what you asked for, what God, I think what your soul came to experience. So like, it's the reframing, is everything happening to me is for me and not against me. Everything. Tragedy, chaos, losing money. I had a business that failed, the $100,000 loss in the last 24 months. And I was like, oh, that was happening for me. It became my men's coaching program. It was a failed beard oil, refined integrity, that became our men's coaching program. And I'm like, the brand, and like, now we got, 180 men strong. It's growing. And I'm like, and it's what I've always wanted to do. It's my passion. Beard oil was not my passion, but it built the brand, because I did it to make money. That's why it failed.
Say a little bit more about that. What is that piece? Because I feel like that's important.
It's really important. So I struggle with keeping my ego at bay, just being transparent. It's something that it's getting better and better as I understand walk with Christ. And, that's where my imperfection comes from. We have 6 companies, we have this ecosystem, our wealth paradigm has changed dramatically. I mean, went from completely broke to, financial freedom in this ecosystem. And I got caught up in making more money. Like, oh, I own 6 businesses. And it was like I was transitioning back into the old self, where it's like, I bought this track Corvette when I started I made $1 million. I bought this track Corvette, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're literally going back. The old paradigm was coming back to tap on me. It was like, and I justified it. So this is important. So I justified buying this track Corvette. I love fast cars. Okay. But that track Corvette was a $100,000 Corvette. Is $480,000 mistake, because if I would have taken what I invested in that Corvette and I would invest in the capital markets, and my price appreciation I would have had would have been $480,000 for my family. So first of all, the biggest thing is when you start to get that kingdom wealth, and it comes, that's King Solomon, right? You lose the sight, or you go back to the old self, and you're looking for edification. That was the first thing. Then I was realizing that the broken little boy was still looking, look at me, I have 6 companies, I have 2 million followers, I have this. And so people would bring up my beard all the time. And I went to a company because I was getting allergies. I'm really big on like not using certain things. And so I created my own beard oil. I'm like, oh, I can make a lot of money doing this. That's what I said. I can make a lot of money doing this on Amazon. So I hired a top Amazon coach, made this special beard oil. I did it all to make money, and it failed miserably. I've sold 5 bottles.
Wow.
And I went to my team and I said, listen, guys, like, I effed up, man. Like, I did this to make money, and I deserve, so now I have 5,000 bottles of beard oil here. But my point is, it led me to my passion. It led me to the brand is Refined Integrity, which became a men's coaching program. But my point is, don't ever do things to make money. Do it to serve humanity.
Don't ever do things to make money. Do it to serve humanity. And this comes back to the passion.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do it because you believe in it. Do it because it lights you up.
Yes.
And the money should follow. Yes. The money will
Always.
follow.
It's a 100% direct correlation to someone following their passion. So why is it working out for me now? Because who you see in front of you, what I say on social, what I speak about is truth. It's authenticity. Everything, and that's our whole model of our businesses now. Everything I talk about or own is something I do myself or own myself. So I call it the warrior walk, right? I go forward, I build safety, I come back and I teach from my paradigm. I will never talk about something that I don't do myself. Right? So the beard oil is a $100,000 mistake, which became the greatest lesson that I've ever had, because it's like, I wasn't passionate about beard oil. Like, what am I doing? I did it to make money because I wanted more, but it was beautiful that it happened at that time within our journey, because imagine if that would have happened when our ecosystem was much bigger, right? Because the mistakes become more catastrophic as you get more responsibility, you know?
More money, more problems.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Step 1, discipline and consistency. I think that applies across the board. It applies to your morning routine. I think it applies to your social media presence or your marketing strategy or your funnels or whatever it is. I know so many brothers who started a podcast and they closed it after episode 3. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're not here for the long game, then get out and get in a different game.
Yeah, can I say something about
Please.
that? So to encourage people. So I posted consistently from 2017 to 2020, 3 to 4 times a day, just to be fair, probably 3 on average, every single day. I did a story every single day. Nobody was paying attention. 2017, 2018, 2019, I never stopped. 2020, I had 278 followers on Instagram. I had 200 YouTube followers. I had 15 people on TikTok. I had no Twitter presence, no Facebook group, right? I kept posting. My daughter got me going on TikTok. One viral video, everything changed. Really? We were sitting there, it was like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's hitting. And then the ecosystem exploded. We shot up to 1 million followers, and then they started bleeding into all the other channels. And but the people were like, oh, you had overnight success. I'm like, yeah, if you consider 2017, 2018, 2019, losing my money 3 times in the process, failing 5 times. Yeah, of course, overnight success. But the beauty in that is all it is discipline and consistency for a long enough period of time to access a new paradigm. But once you access a new paradigm, as I just shared with you, the old self is going to tap on you, the Corvette, the beard oil. So the old self is going to come to challenge you, and you have to have armor around you, like your chest plate, your tools, and tools go into people, places, things, environments. The reason why I made it through the last ego death is because the people around me, because the environment around me, very different. People called me on my shit. They're like, what are you doing, JV? Like, nothing wrong with the Corvette. If I would have bought it with an asset, very different, right? Very different. But I bought it with my family's future money. Very different. So the difference was this time around, I had good people, that were like, JV, you're falling off a little bit, man. You're getting sloppy. And I was like, thank you. Sold the Corvette, bought a property, right? And I was like, that's key to, all the men out there, like who you surround yourself. I know it's cliche, but it's so true. My gosh, it's so true. It's like, and then going into talk about the principal model too. I always say you can't outwork sloppy men. You can't outwork sloppy men. You can't. If you're trying to build an ecosystem, a kingdom, right, that honors the divine feminine, you have to make sure that the men around you are operating at the highest level of integrity, or be very open and honest with them and see if they're going to align to that, right? That goes into the boundaries. That's where the conditional love thing came in Peru. It blew my mind because the guy that was coaching me is like, so you're unconditionally loving? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what about your principal model? I was like, oh shit. He's like, so you'll let a dude come into your kingdom that might sleep with the women within your kingdom? I was like, no. He goes, well, unconditional person. Be like, hey, come on in. No conditions. Come on in. I'll love you if you do whatever. I'm like, you're right. I do have conditions. I do have boundaries. There's certain things I don't accept. That's how you move to the next level, right? Is you have to set those boundaries, decide who you're going to be, set those principles, and stand on those principles. And that's a scary thing, because people, places, things, and environments will change. And you're going to hear things like, JV, you're so different. Hell yeah. 5 years ago, I was a broken little boy that was lustful, that couldn't take care of my family, couldn't pay my bills, and had to move back in with my parents. Absolutely, I'm a completely different person. And there was very different people in my life back then, very different people that I looked up to back then. Does that make sense? It's like, can I really set the boundary? Yeah.
Absolutely. The way that we teach it, we have our agreements in men's work or in our gatherings, which are confidentiality, honesty, acceptance, ownership, and the sacred. And I could expand on them more, but this piece of acceptance, it actually goes both ways, because we are intending to create a culture of non-judgment. right? Like, can you accept what these men have done? Can you accept what you've done? Can you accept your own worthiness? Can you accept your own greatness? And that sometimes can be hard for men. On the flip side of acceptance and non-judgment is discernment, because I'm not going to let a predator into my circle. I'm not going to let someone who is intending to do harm into my circle. I'm going to use my discernment alongside of my non-judgment to say, like, brother, I don't judge you, but I also don't trust you. And the wolves will sniff it out. Yep. And if the circle agrees that this person is no longer safe, then we have to take decisive action. And you're saying that in the case of like your business. And I love this, man. Yep. It's like, hey, if you're not down with my standard of operating, then you're out. And I just want to be honest. I haven't always been willing. I'm such an optimist. I'm such a lover. I'm such like all of you is welcome type of individual that sometimes those blind spots have cost me, figuratively and literally.
Yes. And the thing is too, that like standing on so when we built the creed, God, family, protect your ecosystem at all costs. If I'm going to say I'm going to protect my ecosystem at all costs, that's at all costs. I'm willing to die for my ecosystem. I'm willing to die for my family. And so it's like, again, and for a man, we talked about financial, spiritual, and physical. My physical health needs to be on point. My spiritual walk needs to be on point as best I can, aiming for perfection, knowing it's not possible because I'm definitely not perfect. But also my financial health needs to be on point, right? Because I should be able to take care of the divine feminine within my family, my kids, my ecosystem, my family. Like, I don't lend money to my family. Like, I'm not a bank. I don't lend money to my family. If my family needs something, I'm there to provide it, right? And I think those are things, but that gave me passion. All my passion, that gave me purpose. That's where the purpose came from. So now this purpose that I've created, because I was kind of purposeless. I had passion, but now I know my purpose is to serve God. And to serve God in the kingdom way, right? And then it gives me some, like when I wake up in the morning, like my job is to work out hard, train in, protection, which is self-defense, right? All these different things. And it's what I choose to embody. It doesn't mean everybody has to do that, right? But I think through the passion, I found my purpose. That part really, really stood with me because I'm like, oh, wow, everything has really come to fruition because number one, I set boundaries. Number two, I stand on those principles. And my team, this is important too. I think every man should create principles for their family because my kids know and my team knows. So if somebody comes into our ecosystem, we have a process, but they'll go, that doesn't match with JB's principles. It doesn't even, he's not going to do business with you. Like, I'm just letting you know. And so then when you stand on those principles, because you can't say you have principles and then go against them.
That's right.
You can't. You just can't. And it was hard for me because I heard all the last 2 years, especially, Jay, you're so different. I'm like, and I would say to them, I am. And I thank you for that, right? Because I know that when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm finally happy with who I see. And it's integral, it's honest, it's authentic. And that's all that I can do within my current paradigm, right? And do the right things and steward my money and then continue to work to be better that every single day. Things will change. But one thing that should never change is aligning with your principles and standing on them. And that's how I built wealth.
I think there's a lot of the coaches out there now are starting to take on or adopt this model. It's like, you'll notice in this conversation, we didn't jump right into the investments in Bitcoin. Like, we're talking about faith, we're talking about God, and we're talking about supporting our families from the standard of holding ourselves to a higher standard maybe than we were raised with, but that is in alignment with who we truly are.
Correct.
And I think it's so important to build the foundation in that order. And I'd love that you said create principles for my family. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, with my boys, with Sacred Sons, we've got the standards. We've got our code. Our code is also RISE. I am and I'll just say this just for the awareness here. Our code of conduct is RISE. I am 100% responsible for my thoughts, words, and actions. I am in integrity, the I in RISE. I am in integrity, and I hold myself accountable for the impact of my choices. That's the I. The S is I am in service to my faith, to my family, to my community, and to humanity. And the E is I am ethical in all my relationships. And I heard you, and so that's our code RISE. I heard you say something that was very ethical, which is I do not teach something that I do not do myself. I do not promote things or talk about things that are not actually true. And I heard in your story that maybe at one time you did that, and then you flipped like that ethical switch to go like ethics and authenticity kind of go together here. But it's like, I'm going to be authentic with who I am and ethical in the pieces that I'm bringing through.
Yeah, because they taught us what? Fake it till you
make it.
Bullshit.
I'm like, face it till you make it.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it. I'm like, what? Like, embody it, become it, and they will find you.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's in one of my book, my first book I wrote, Fake It Till You Make It. Like, you want to be a body. Yeah, it's in my book, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in my book. And that's okay, because that was part of where I was at within that current paradigm. And, people bring on like, but yeah, that's who I was back then. I was faking it till I make it. I was a banker. I didn't even want to be a banker. What the hell was I doing? I did it because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, I had a suit, had a BMW. My father was so proud of me, because what was he taught? A man in a suit and a man working at a bank or a lawyer or a doctor that's successful. Well, then why was I so miserable? Right? So fake it till you make it. Well, I made it. I had the house, I had the car, I had the trips, but I was miserable, right? So then when I became it, I think I was telling this part about it, but I was looking for everybody. I found nobody. Then when I found myself, everybody found me. That's when I went viral. I was like, this is who I am. I'm a broke dude on my parents' couch. I'm going to take you from 43 years old to millionaire investor to building my ecosystem. I'm going to share with you the Corvette mistakes and the ethical mistakes that I've made. I'm going to share with you my ups, my downs. And I just started telling my story. I just became a storyteller. I'm like, this is my story. This is who I am. And all of a sudden, everybody came out of the woodworks. There's a bunch of people that are going through stuff like I am. I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, I can see you in my story. Like, my son committed suicide or an opiate addict, or I'm an opiate addict right now. And I'm like, oh, it's possible. I promise you. And what I really believe the key to all of this is tapping into that authenticity. But how do you find your true self? Is through suffering. You have to suffer. And, I always say suffer with purpose before it's necessary to suffer. So that could be, I do cold therapy, self-defense training, working out really hard. I love fasting, just giving up on certain foods.
Even the ceremonies, even ayahuasca ceremonies, sweat lodge, coming into a spiritual tradition or ritual, they're all rooted in pain.
I just came back from doing San Pedro for a week in Peru, man. It's painful, man. It's not fun. It's like you're sitting in there in like this quantum paradigm of thought complex of like all your ancestors coming to you and showing you all the trauma and the things you need to heal. And like a lot of people go to, I would say, I don't recommend people do plant medicines unless they're willing to do the work outside of it, because it doesn't heal you. It just exposes you. Right. And, but yeah, the part I do want to talk about too, like the finance part of it and how important that is with how I became wealthy. I think that's an important part. Because of the spiritual part of it, it's like I started to understand that there is a spiritual component to wealth. I mean, there 100% is. It's all over the Bible. It's all over the Bible. No, and I think where a lot of people get stuck is they're like, a wealthy man can't get through the eye of the needle, right? And so there's all kinds of things that people lean on. Well, the camel had a burden on its back. There was a bridge, which was the eye of the needle. Take the burden off the camel's back, it could kneel down and go through, right? Well, yeah. If you're buying Corvettes, Lambos, going to strip clubs and snorting cocaine, and you're a wealthy man, you have a huge burden on your back and you can't get through the eye of the needle. But if you take that burden off your back and you're giving to other people and you're serving to other people, you can be a billionaire and be spiritual, right? And so when I started to rewire that in my brain, it's like, God doesn't call us to be impoverished. God doesn't call us to not have things. He calls us to serve with our income. So that was one big thing that changed for me. I also really started to understand the monetary system. And this is important for men to understand. We work very hard and we take time away from our families. So you're trading time for money and you get paid in someone else's debt. There's no money in the system. So the US dollar is an inflationary asset where you work your ass off away from your family and you get paid in someone else's debt. And every dollar you get becomes less valuable unless you beat inflation. 2% every year. So every year we become poor and we become poorer. And we become further away from being able to take care of our families. So the biggest thing that men need to understand is what money is, right? We're moving from an inflationary environment, which is the US dollar. Oh, the world is in this. We have more debt than we have income. It's a very unethical, very dark energy when it comes to the money, right? And we're transmuting into deflationary, fixed supply, transparency. And so that's what's happening with cryptocurrency. Everybody gets so caught up in crypto's a fraud. Well, they want us to believe it's a fraud because they're investing in it. But we're transitioning from, and it's very spiritual. We're transitioning from into Aquarius, which is quantum connectivity, cooperation. So we're transferring from this inflationary asset that makes us poor every year, where they can just unethically print money. They can bury us in debt, to a system that is actually we're in control. Like I have my Bitcoin bank, I have an insurance bank. So I'm actually my own bank and I'm sovereign now. So what men need to really start to understand is first thing you do before you start investing is understand what money is. What is money? It's just debt. So imagine thinking about that. I thought about that. I'm like, I work my ass off and I get paid in someone else's debt.
Right.
Like, that's weird. Like, it feels weird too. And I'm like, okay, interesting. That's why Jesus, when they mocked him, they're like, who do we pay our taxes to? He's like, who's on the coin? Like, Caesar. So give your taxes to Caesar, give to God what is his. Because he's like, it's the same system. It just keeps repeating itself over.
If you think about, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and a lot of folks in the spiritual world will say, oh, it's money, it's energy, it's just an exchange of energy. And when you're saying that it's debt, what I'm seeing is it's energy, but it's kind of like a void. Like the inflationary system is like a vacuum. So it's energy, but it's taking away. Even as we're earning it, we're losing it.
You nailed it. Yeah, it is energy, 100%. It's not a good energy. It's like, there's nothing good about taking someone out of their house, away from their kids, to make them serve somebody else, to trade time for money. The only way they can make more money is to give up what?
Time.
More time. And then when they give up more time, they get paid in debt. And then we taught people to take that money and to borrow against our future self. So if I make $100,000 a year, I can go to a bank and I can borrow $10,000, increasing my output to $110,000, but I don't have the capacity within the physical paradigm to pay for that $10,000. I don't make enough to pay for that extra $10,000 that I brought on. And then the debt-based trap, the debt-based cycle kicks in. So we make $100,000 and we buy a $70,000 car. That makes no sense because we can spread it out over 74 months. But that $74,000 car could have became $2 million for your family in retirement. So we have to rewire our brain.
And you're saying it could have become, that 70 could have turned it into 2 million with investment.
With investment, correct. Like if somebody, my daughter, for example, I hope she's okay with me talking about this. She's 21 years old. She turns 21 tomorrow. She's going to be a millionaire by the time she's 30. She will never have to work for money again. She transmute all of her. So she's, 21. Her car's paid for. She works with me. She transmutes all of her income into investments. She saves first and then she spends what's left over. So she has a rule. She has to invest 30 to live with me rent free. She can live as long as she wants, as long as she wants, as long as she invests 30% of her income in something that's deflationary, that compounds. She has her insurance policy that she's stacking her own personal bank. And then she has to prove to me that she's creating some sort of cash flow, right? And so by the time she's 30, she'll never have to work for anybody ever again because money compounds every 7 years at 10%, right? But how many people are getting 10% on their money? Very little people because of the deflationary vacuum that we could put in, right? So the bank, you go in there, you work your ass off, you build your big company, you make $1 million, you store your $1 million in the bank, they're taking your money and lending it out to the next person. So we have to learn how to transmute this income that we get and no longer work for money. We have to allow our money to work for us. So I always tell people when I coach them, like, even if you have a job, trading time for money, change your frame of mind. You no longer work for money. Money works for you. You employ money. So when you get paid, the first person, God should be honored, but the next person should be you. You should be paid first. And then what's left over, you buy the car. What's left over, you buy the house. So if you're making $100,000 a year, you probably shouldn't have a $600,000 house. Live below your means and until you don't have to, right? And that's the biggest thing. The whole thing is we don't need cash. We need cash flow because you brought up energy. When you have cash flow, you can transmute it into the positive opposite of the vacuum. Things that grow, compound, you can become your own bank. That's how you become sovereign, right? Everybody's trying to get rid of their social and run from the government. You become sovereign by handling the ecosystem, right? You become sovereign and it's getting worse. We're talking by 2030, that's going to be super, super wealthy and the working poor. There's going to be no middle class.
No middle class, yeah.
No middle class. And there's an opportunity right now for people to invest in the new infrastructure of the fund. That's what I teach. And I'm not telling people what to do. I'm telling them what I did. And we became millionaire investors in crypto. We became millionaires outside of crypto because we understood that, Ray Dalio says this, cash is trash. It's trash. Like if you're storing 300,000, my parents are all cash. And I'm like, come on, they're later in their life, but that's the old school model, right?
And so what is the new model? If it's not cash, is it Bitcoin? Is this the solution? Is it blockchain or is it the stock market, which is like, it's up and down and people are, I talked to my own dad recently. He's just like, dude, stock market's fucking up right now,
So there's a risk pyramid. This is a way to look at it. You want diversification. The risk pyramid, the higher the risk, the higher return, the lower the risk, the lower the return, right? So at the bottom of a risk pyramid is insurance is at the bottom of a risk pyramid. So people teach you how to insure your house, your car, your life, but they don't teach you how to insure your wealth, right? So we insure our wealth. We actually insure our money with cash value life insurance. So not only are we becoming our own bank, we can leverage against our own life insurance, but we're compounding anywhere from 6 to 12%, right? Every 7 years, our money's going to double. So we're storing our cash, and our family's protected, right? So there's insurance components. There's protecting your wealth. There's appreciation, which can be stock market, cryptocurrency. But when you appreciate, you want to pull some of that off the table to stabilize it, right? I don't store my money in cash. So let's talk about Bitcoin, because I think that's important. Bitcoin went from use for money laundering fraud to now the Bitcoin strategic reserve. We have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Now, why is that? So I'm just going to give people logic.
And that just happened with Trump, correct?
Yep. It's official. Like, where we have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, we're becoming the Bitcoin capital of the world, the crypto capital of the world. Okay. So let's just take out all the stuff you've heard. It's a fraud, used for money laundering, and let's just talk about logic. Okay, we're in a inflationary US dollar that there's more debt than there is income. There's no income. It's gone, right? They're going to turn the printing machine back on, which devalues the dollar. The only way to fix the system is to print more money. But what does that do? The dollar has 3% purchasing power. That's all we have left. We have 3% purchasing power since 1913. It collapsed.
3%?
3%.
That means every dollar is only worth 3 cents?
Yes. So it's the 3% so the dollar's collapsed since 1913, 97%, the value of the dollar.
Wow.
Let me give you a physical example. Right. My parents bought their house in 1973 for $25,000. That same house, exact same house that I grew up in, that I moved into, is now worth $400,000. It's not even different. It's the same house since 1973. Their income didn't go up that much. Their buying power didn't go up that much. That's the deflation of their income, right? So what's happening, that tipped, we caught the ball. We have more debt than we have income now. They keep printing more and more money. We have this debt-based society that we're all stuck in. The only way, if we paid off all the debt in America, the system would collapse. The only reason we have income is because of interest. So we have to keep getting in debt in order for the system to keep going. That's it. They need you doing auto loans. That's why they have to lower interest rates, or we're going into a full depression, because they need us buying homes and cars. So
they need us borrowing.
Right. So in 2009, this goes into logic. So in 2008, we had the biggest financial collapse ever in American history, right? The housing market. Well, ironically, this is what I want people to research. In 2009, Bitcoin was created. Right after that,
wow.
Satoshi Nakamoto created this pseudonymous person. We still don't know who created it. Right?
Do you have some guesses? We can go into conspiracy towards the end.
Yeah. I think that. Well, let's just look at this. Okay, so I'll let people figure it out themselves. Okay, so Satoshi, we don't know who it is. So who are the top 5 holders in Bitcoin? Satoshi, we don't know who that is. Pseudonymous person. That's kind of weird, right? BlackRock is number 2, the largest asset manager in the world that was tapped by the Federal Reserve in 2008 and 2020, our Federal Reserve, to balance out the markets. He's also been a trusted advisor to Trump. So BlackRock is the largest asset manager in the world. He's the number 2 holder in Bitcoin. Number 3 is MicroStrategies, which is now Strategy B, which is Michael Saylor. BlackRock is the number 3 holder in MicroStrategies. They were getting exposure to Bitcoin when they were telling us it was a fraud through MicroStrategies. Number 4 is Grayscale, and number 5 is America. So we don't know who Satoshi is, but the top 4 companies are American.
Wow.
Bitcoin was created right after the biggest financial collapse in America, when BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, came together to de-dollarize. So they came together to de-dollarize because America's currency dominates everybody else's currency. So we're over here being sloppy with our finances, non-kingdom wealth, and the other countries are like, wait a minute, you're dominating our currency, and you're over there not even regulating your bank. So they came together to de-dollarize. So now they're de-dollarizing since 2009. Bitcoin's created the pseudonymous thing, and then the other one I'm big in is XRP. Ripple was created in 2013. Okay. Then we roll into 2017, which is important. This is biblical. From 1967 to 2017 is the 50-year jubilee. In the Bible, every 50 years, there's a debt monetary reset. It's biblical. 1971, we detached from the gold standard, making our money fake. So they just been printing. So it can't continue like this. So 2017, which is the end of the jubilee, the debt reset, we're now in the reset, is BlackRock, Larry Fink, and Jamie Dimon are like, everybody, Bitcoin's a fraud, as they're buying it, as they're accumulating it. Because Bitcoin is deflationary, US dollar is inflationary. So then we go into the pandemic, they turn the printing machine on full blast, knowing damn well it's going to destroy the American middle class, knowing damn well that it was going to overinflate everything, right? So we go into hyperinflation. No, it wasn't hyperinflation. It felt like hyperinflation. So what happened was BlackRock comes out in 2023, the very people that told us it was used for money laundering, and created their own Bitcoin ETF and became the largest holder in Bitcoin. And then Trump comes back in his second presidency running as the Bitcoin capital of the world, when in 2017, he said he's not a crypto fan.
Right.
It was designed, in my opinion, Bitcoin was designed to become the sovereign wealth, or to become the Bitcoin strategic reserve, because they're putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet, it will shrink America's debt in half by 2045.
Wow.
So if you own a little bit of Bitcoin, you own some, this is important. There's only 21 million Bitcoin in the world. Okay. That's it. There's 8 billion people. So it's scarce. 80% of the supply has not moved. So whoever owns it is not selling it. So they're treating it like gold. Only 5% of the supply is left. Now countries are buying it. So if you own a fraction, you can buy Satoshi. It's at 100. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. If you own $10 worth of Bitcoin, you own one of the most scarce assets in the world. And so now, as we're talking right now, you and I, they're literally building the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, a sovereign wealth fund that's going to have XRP, Solana, Ethereum, all these different things. So we saw that from a spiritual, biblical, financial, historical sense, studying Ray Dalio, The Changing World Order. We're like, wait a minute, what if we just speculate and we get into these assets that are fundamental, not Dogecoin, not shit coins, not meme coins, but fundamental infrastructural changes of the financial system. Understanding that we're moving from inflationary to deflationary, and that's all we did. And then from 2020, it goes in bull runs, 2020 to 2022, I made more money than I would have made my whole life as an executive. So I was like, whoa, that's unnatural. So I pulled some off the top of the risk pyramid. I brought it down, stacked insurance policies. I built cash generating businesses, created cash flow, and then I repeated the process. So every man listening to this, you need to learn how to create cash flow. That's your key. And you can do that in a couple ways. Cash flow first is debts and non-negotiables. So if you're like, hey, I don't have money to invest, everybody does. We have priority problems, not money problems, right? So if you have 2 cars in your driveway and you can't invest, why do you have 2 cars in your driveway? If you have 2 car payments, go down to 0 car payments. I drove a hoopty for years, right? So we don't want stuff, we want cash flow. Does that make sense? So you look at debts and non-negotiables and you try to get down to livable expenses, what you need: food, shelter, clothes, right? You create income, and with that income, you transmute it into something that either compounds, grows, or pays you dividends, cash. From the cash you get paid, you transmute that back into deflationary assets that grow, right? And then you just repeat. That's what I did. I repeated the process. Now I'm inside this asset. So each month I get paid dividends, cash, passive income from my dividends. I transmute that back into deflationary assets, Bitcoin and XRP. I have an insurance bank. So every month, kingdom wise, my family becomes wealthier. So we have an insurance bank growing. We have a Bitcoin bank growing, and I can leverage. Just recently, we bought an insurance firm. I went to my Bitcoin bank, borrowed tax-free, had the money in 24 hours, didn't have to go to the bank, LLC, didn't have to submit my LLC paperwork, bought the brokerage pays it back in 12 months. I didn't have to sell any of my crypto. So I know that's a lot in a short amount of time, but I think the thing to study is what a debt-based society is. Start there. What is a debt-based society? Read the book, Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, and Cash Flow Quadrant. Those are 3 key books. So Richest Man in Babylon will teach you how to multiply. Cash Flow Quadrant will teach you how to get out of the workforce and down into earned income, and then investing and growing that income. And then Think and Grow Rich is the state of mind you talked about. It's the thought.
Yeah.
It's Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yeah. Think and Grow Rich. I have the audio book, and I'll just drop into a chapter, instead of putting on a mindless podcast. Sometimes just drop into a chapter at a time and keep it running to make sure that mindset is sharp. Yeah.
So I just wanted to, bring that up because it's important to understand because people always ask me, what should I invest in? I'm like, what do you know about money? That's what I ask them. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, what do you know about money? If you can't tell me what money is, I can't tell you how to invest, because you won't know what to do with the money. You'll get right back in the cycle. We have to rewire the brain.
Let me ask you about housing specifically and property, because what I didn't hear in there is that you're investing in multiple properties, which is something that wealthy folks do. What is your take on property? I really heard you. If you're making $100K a year, don't live beyond your means. Don't buy a house that is beyond your means. But if you are investing in property, is that something to consider putting 30% of your cash flow into monthly?
Yeah, let me reframe that because I think I'm so glad you brought that up because I didn't like a property is, there's different models. Grant Cardone's like, don't rent where you live, buy property. I like owning my house, right? I have a mortgage on a home, right? So you have your place you live. What I mean by that is like you see people who become millionaires and they own this like $2 million home, right? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. They have a $17,000 mortgage when that could be transmuting. They could have a $4,000 mortgage and transmute the other, what would that be, $13,000 into investments, right? But yeah, so property. So there's different properties, amazing. Land, property, because there's multiple things to properties and rental. So I'm getting into the rental game now because of tax liabilities. So the first for me was earned income, right? I increased my earned income. Then I got into the capital markets, cryptocurrency, insured my wealth, and there's levels to the game in taxes. There's expenses, right? And you can only expense your way so much. You can buy so many company cars and so much equipment. Then there's layering, right? Layering your accounts for business. And then there's real estate is the greatest way for tax liabilities and wealth. It is the greatest way because now I'm just learning this. So I just want to be very clear. I'm speaking from a paradigm that I'm going into, not one that I've implemented yet. So I'm always very honorable about that. So what I have learned so far is my team is like, you need real estate because real estate, when I buy real estate now, buy a rental property, not only do I get the depreciation, or not only do I get the interest income, right, off my taxes, but you can also depreciate that property the first 7 years into the first year. So if your earned income can be mitigated by that property, right? So now you have a property that every time the person pays the rent, your mortgage, your wealth is going up because the principal and interest are being paid. So even if it's $30, every month your net worth goes up. Every month your net worth, especially if somebody else is paying for the property. And so, yeah, I want to make it clear, like with the car, this is where I see it. I should probably use the example of a car. Yeah, properties are huge. So we're actually heading into real estate now. So real estate is our next strategy. But cars, it's like, man, I see these people driving these, trucks are like 60 grand now. It's crazy. Or SUVs. We bought an SUV for our company, $90,000 for a GMC. I'm like, this is wild. This is weird.
Yeah.
But they spread it out over 94 months and 74 months. So people look for the payment. You should look for how much that car is going to cost you by the time you're done with it. Right. And drive a paid off car if you can.
Bro, I agree with you so much. And I get a little stuff for it here and there because I've been driving my 2014 Toyota Tacoma for years.
Beautiful.
And I'll roll into a men's weekend. Oh man, you should get a bigger truck. You should get it. I'm like, nope. You know why? Because I don't want to have a fucking car payment.
Yeah. Why?
And I'm not the type of materialistic person in that way because I learned that from my father. Like I watched my father be generous but also be conservative and like not overspend and like drive that truck and be proud that it's paid off.
Yep. Or buy it through your business. That's the way to do it.
Say more about that because so now we're getting into some specifics and I want to, before we leave here, you have this like wealth of knowledge, this abundance of knowledge. And for those who are not savvy, for those who can't define what money is, I want to talk about how they can connect with you and get into programs to start to rewire the brain because we're not going to get there just in this one podcast, but I want to be able to send guys to get even more deep into this.
Yeah, we have what's called the 3T, like 3T as in Tom, warrioracademy.com. So 3T, warrioracademy.com. And so it's a worldwide academy. There's 11,000 people worldwide in there. It's subconscious mind programming, goal setting, vision creation, 5 pillars of framework of finances, right? To understand, like, everybody's like, what crypto should I invest in? Again, if you don't know what money is, you shouldn't be investing. So we teach people the framework. We build out the framework. And then I go through my whole ecosystem from cash flow to investing to how to insure your wealth. And then, for example, we are just a group like you guys. We're growing, learning, coming back and teaching. So the next will be real estate, right? Once I learn the game, I come back and teach it to them. We call it an airport. So we have 6 companies that have embodied from it. So like you fly into the 3T Warrior Academy. We have our own insurance brokerage. We have a exit strategy company teaching people how to exit cryptocurrencies. We have the men's coaching program. So it's kind of like an airport that you fly into. But that's how you connect with us, the 3T Warrior Academy.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it. Let's go back. If you're running and operating a business, buying assets through the business currently, and maybe some folks listening know this, but we are hosting retreats all around the world. As Sacred Sons, we have a plethora of events. We train men to run these events, and We're very close to acquiring our own land so that we can deepen our roots because we want to build the retreat center. We want to build the temple. You know what I'm saying? Build the kingdom. This is kingdom building, as you said. And so that piece around, and this is for Sacred Sons, but for whatever business men and women are owning and operating, to buy assets through the business. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Absolutely. Of course, I'm not a tax professional, I got to say that, but it's like, ethically and morally, obviously, if it aligns with the business, like, for example, we have the 3T Warrior Code, we're same as you. We built our own conference center. We do retreats. We have a retreat coming up. So we're going to build our own retreat center just like you guys. And so the key is, the beautiful thing about business, the tax codes are designed for you to expense things. That's what they're designed for, right? So we started a foundation. You guys can start a foundation. So our crypto investments through our company are all inside the foundation. Right. And so we get to, which is awesome, instead of paying 20% capital gains, we actually get to donate to a charity 5% instead of 20%.
Your foundation is nonprofit 501c3?
Correct. Yep. 3T Warrior Academy Foundation. So we put our crypto profits in there from our company. There's different levels to it. So there's expenses. Like, for example, if you own a vehicle, and I basically, my whole life is the 3T Warrior Academy. I mean, it's my life. I have a home office. I come here. It's my whole embodiment. It's my life. Yeah. So I don't need a personal vehicle, and everything I do is work. I'm driving back and forth. We have a little bit of personal expenses, but all the vehicles are bought through our companies, right? Which you can get about 80% depreciation within the first year. So if you buy a $100,000 car, you can depreciate anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 off your earned income. Your car should always be bought through, if your car aligns with what you do. You travel to events, you have a truck, you probably carry stuff in your truck, things like that. There's expenses, right? And then after a while, you can only buy so much stuff. It gets old because you're like, oh, we have a cash problem. Go buy stuff. I'm like, I don't want to just keep buying stuff. So the next level is, you have LLCs, you have S Corps, you have C Corps. So we created was an S Corp. And now everything runs through my S Corp, right? So I have LLCs that run up into my S Corp, and everything runs through there. And so I pay myself very little. I have paychecks coming in, and then I don't get taxed unless I pull it out as a dividend, right? So there's layering of your accounts. And then there's things where you can get into a little bit deeper, where you can do self-directed IRAs, self-directed 401ks. So there's levels to it. And then you buy the real estate through your company. Right. So then you buy your guys' real estate through that. And then there's things called the Augusta rule, right? So you have your home there. So I have team members that stay at my house when they come to our events, and I get to rent my own house and pull tax-free money out of my, both of my businesses, right? So there's so many different things you can do. So as you go into business, you got to have a team, hire a good tax person.
That was my next one. Do you have a badass accountant?
Oh, my team is badass. I have a tax lawyer, a lawyer, and a trust lawyer as well. And so everybody should look into trust too. That's very, very important, especially the ecosystem you're building to protect it. I always say, people say, it's not what should I have a trust, it's what type of trust should you have, especially if you're building kingdoms, right? It's we have what's called the Rockefeller, I'm not touting the Rockefellers, it's called the Rockefeller waterfall system. So it's a dynasty trust. And so it's all attached to insurance, right? So when a Vasquez dies in the future, our family gets wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. And that's how you build a sustainable kingdom with your company. So there's also tax planning for our company and our ecosystem, like insurance within companies. So I don't want to get too deep into it. The first level is expenses, right? If you run a business, you got to have some sort of LLC. Get yourself out of a sole prop into an LLC so you're protected. That's another level of protection. Expenses. And I always tell people, do it ethically and morally. There's a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram they're driving a Lambo, and it's they have a coaching company, and it's they're expensing because it's 6,000 pounds, the SUV. And I'm you're going to get caught up, man. Do it ethically and morally. Have a team. Don't do it on your own. Make sure you hire somebody to do this type of stuff, especially foundations and trust. But yeah, so that's where we're at now, is we're heading into the new realm, which is mitigating taxes. We have a meeting every month. I should have showed you my ecosystem. We have a meeting every month where it's okay, no, right now we have a cash problem, which is a good problem to have. So we're damn, do we need to spend money? I'm no, I'm going to do a self-directed IRA, self-directed 401k. From there, I'm going to buy a property, and I'm going to depreciate the property 7 years into this year, and then buy a property every year. So many fun things you can do with business.
Yeah, man. What I love about your story too, as much as it is trial and error, you've really built this kingdom in the last 5 years. What I heard since COVID, I'm just counting 2020 to 2025, you have built all this, on the ashes of the failures. And that's powerful because, you know, there's that saying, this might be from Think and Grow Rich, but people, and it's definitely from Tony Robbins, but people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yes.
And so in 5 years, you went from, you know, broke, COVID shutting your business down, to putting the key in the lock, turning it, and to go, I'm never going to turn back, to now talking about buying multiple properties through extra cash flow and all of these things, and insurance. I mean, this has all really happened in a relatively short amount of time. And that's very inspiring.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it can be done. It's like, it's just you can't be wishy-washy, man. You can't be, I say, burn the boats, don't burn the bridges, man. Like burn the boats, don't burn the bridge, don't burn relationships, but burn the damn boats. Like, you know, it's like I burned the boats. Like, it was like, I'm going into this, like I'm not going to have my kids go through the same cycle that I went through. I'm not. And then also too, there's accumulation of knowing tomato's a fruit. Wisdom is not knowing not to put in the fruit salad. I've made so many mistakes over the past 18 years that I had enough wisdom to not repeat the same mistakes, right? So it's like, there's some things that, you know, a young man will come into our ecosystem, and I'm like, there's some things you just have to learn through time. There's just some things you know, people are like, well, you're super successful now. Well, yeah, I've been doing this for, I mean, I've been, you know, in the military. I was like, you know, it's been a long life. I'm 49 years old. So, and also I'm in what's called Chiron return in human design. Like, I'm in like 45 to 52, going into 40. So my partner does human design, and she was like, you have to get your shit together, man. Like, you have to be dialed in. And I took it serious, man. I was like, I need to be dialed in, and I'm experiencing exactly what it says. It's like, dialed in spiritually, physically, mentally, you know, parasite candida. I got everything ready, and it was like, it worked. And I don't know if it was my subconscious creating that or the conscious awareness of it, but it was like, I hit 45, it started taking off. Then I hit 48, and then this has been 49. It's like,
what is your human design? My guess for you is you're either a generator or a manifesting generator.
Yeah, full generator. Yeah,
I'm also a generator. My guy.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm at 44 right now. I'll be 45 this year, but you know, I'm very inspired by all that you're sharing, and by the sheer like will, you know, the will to power, you know, the will to like push. It's actually, it's not a forcing, but it is a knowing.
That's important. You just said something that gave me chills, man. I give honor to May, my partner. So she's a human design practitioner. She's our CEO of our companies too. She said, you have to stop forcing. You have to start allowing.
Yeah.
And now I let it flow. Generator. I wait for it. I do what I have to do. I follow disciplined patterns, my principles, morals, and ethic, and I allow it to come to me. That's a huge difference for me 5 years ago. I was forcing, because, you know, the world, you see this whole highlight reel we see. Dudes in Lambos, and they're, you know, everybody's got a, you know, I do biohacking, everybody's got a morning routine of biohacking, and you just don't feel good enough. You're like, damn, man. And are they really that disciplined? If they were, they'd probably have better results. I mean, like,
are they really living in peace? Not even are they happy, but like, do they have peace in their hearts?
There's this, that was the whole thing. So I was watching all these guys, and I was following them. I'm like, well, who am I, man? Like, I like biohacking. I like doing self-defense. I like beating the shit out of myself. I enjoy that. I don't do it because it's what other people do. I do it because I'm a generator. I like to suffer. I like to move. I literally stand in my house at night, and I just have to move. I can't sit. Like, I'll be making dinner with the kids. I stand up while I eat. I'm reading. I'm moving. I just can't sit, man. And everybody's like, sit down. I'm like, I want to stand. I want to serve you. I want to move. I want to, you know, and it's like, and that's one thing too with human design. I'm glad we opened that up, is like, I know my design, and I follow it. I'm supposed to go forward, forge a trail, come back and teach, build safety. That's all I do. So now I'm like, I don't talk it like real estate. I was honest. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going into it. I'm buying my second property right now. So I don't have I haven't gone through the pain yet. I haven't gone through the suffering of a renter not paying their rent. And, you know, it sounds easy, the 7-year depreciation, but, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm sure I'll have a bad, you know, you'll go through all those things, and I'll come back and be like, well, you have 10 rental properties, and it's a nightmare. It's great. Who knows, you know? But, you know, and again, I'm just following what they tell you. Like, the next level is real estate. Everybody says you have to have real estate. And it's like, yeah, it's a journey, man.
It is a journey, but it's a worthy journey. And again, we do all this inner work, you know, to really excavate, to remove the blockages, to remove the things that are in the way. And why do we do it? It's so that we can live abundant lives.
Yes.
Lives that are filled with friendships, with family, with celebration, and ultimately with connection. Like
Yes.
our community, and I believe for your community as well, it's like to have other human beings that are like-minded, like-hearted, that we can be in connection with, actually provides for a full life. And so at the end of the day, it's actually our relationships. No one on their deathbed, I shouldn't say no one, but for most of us on our deathbed, we're not going to be counting the leftover pennies. We're going to be taking stock of the relationships. Like, how many people did I positively impact? How many people are actually at my deathbed?
Yeah.
If I'm so fortunate to go before all of my children, I pray for that. Like, I hope to live a life where I'm on my farm and my children are around me when it's that time.
Beautiful.
And it's in the relationships, and it's for us as men to provide the landscape for that vision to come to fruition. We have to do this. This is a very disciplined skill that you have cultivated. And I said at the beginning, I'm fired up because I need my own inspiration here to get my shit together on my financial pillar. And I feel very inspired. Thank you for bringing these codes through, Coach JV. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
we're here to help, man. I think that's what we're here to do, man. Link our communities together, help each other. And we have it's our skill set I call it spiritual wealth, man. It's like, and we live it. I mean, we breathe it, we embody it. We just it's something that just like you embody your program, we embody it. Like, this is what we do. And that's what I encourage everybody is just live it, just embody it, just be it. And it's going to be messy, man. It's going to be really, really messy. It's going to be, but just don't stop. Just keep moving forward. That's how I say. My mom's like, I believe in you. I'm like, just keep moving forward. We just started our own insurance brokerage, and it never gets easy. The startups are never we opened it up and we have all this. It's never, we're going to make, you have this goal, right? And if you say you're going to make $1 million, you're going to make 300,000. It's never, it's your brain thinks it up, and then the reality comes in, and there's a GPS that's guiding your reticular activating. So, well, you have to go through this. You haven't gone through this pain yet. It's just part of the process, right?
Right.
And I think that's where people get discouraged because they retreat back to safety because they don't want to go through the pain. But you have to. I mean, it's just part of the process, man.
And again, bringing it back to the sacred work. If you're someone who's afraid of the unknown, if you're afraid of the pain, then intentionally put yourself into uncomfortable situations.
All day. Yep.
And that can be all kinds of things. If you're one who's searching for vision, seek your hamblacha. Go out 4 days, no food, no water. Do a vision quest, and do it so that you can return to life, not only with your vision, but with your knowing that you can meet the unknown. For so many of us who avoid the pain, it's like you have to bring ceremony, prayer, and ritual into your life so that you can meet it in a good way. And then when life smacks you in the face, you're like, I got this, because I've already intentionally put myself through the hard. I've met the cold water in the morning. And so when life or toddlers or that coworker or traffic comes, you're like, I've already been through it today.
Yes.
That's the point of all these modalities. So find that practice that really resonates, again, that with your passion, with your soul, what lights you up. I think that's a good way of seeking.
Yeah. What is that called? What did you call that? The 4 days?
Hamblecha. That's a Native American vision quest, a Lakota vision quest. 4 days, no food, no water, up on a mountain. You sit in about a perimeter of about a 10-foot circle, and you don't leave it. And all kinds of things happen. My brother Kale, who's a co-founder of Sacred Sons, he's leading a Hamblecha on Maui at the end of May. If anybody's interested, check out mauimana.com. Check out Kale Kahi. But this is like a 5,000-year-old tradition from the Lakota, and it is intended to conjure a vision, but also to build resilience. And so there's a lot of folks too. It's like, how do I build resilience? Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. My personal practice, I've been sitting in a sweat lodge since 2011, monthly. And I go and I return to the elements. I return to the fire, to the water, and to the teachings. I also think it's important as leaders that we put ourselves in communities where we're not always the leader. I know for myself, I need to put myself in situations where I'm not the guy.
Love
and
that.
to like receive the teachings, receive the confrontation myself, so that when it's time to lead, when it is my time, that I feel prepared and resourced.
You're a wise man. You're a wise man.
Hey,
I love it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah. That's wisdom right there, man. That's wisdom. I felt that, man.
Yeah, and so you said this too, man. Trust the process. So I'm gonna give the process as I heard it to close this one out. And so if you're gonna trust the process, step 1, discipline and consistency. Step 2, set boundaries. And set healthy boundaries, not to push the world too far away, not to let people in too close, but set that boundary with strong boundaries with loving presence. These are my words. Step 3, create your standards and conduct your service. Boom. Like, create those standards. And I'm just going to reveal this. This is going on in my mind. I have a date night tonight with my wife, which is few and far between with our 4 kids, but tonight I'm gonna make it an intentional ceremony to create our standards for our family, because I haven't done that literally, and I want my kids to be able to repeat it. So you've inspired me already in these ways. So step 3 is create your standards and conduct your service. Step 4, cash flow and investments. Find ways to create the cash flow and invest that cash flow. And then step 5, as far as I got, is to ensure your wealth.
Ensure it. Yep.
How does that sound? How does that sound for a process?
That's beautiful, man. Beautiful. Sounds authentic to me. That's awesome. This was fun, man.
This was great. I'm so lit up, and I feel inspired to even myself. I want to learn more from you. I want to tap in and learn more about this. And we have beautiful ceremonies. We have all types of offerings as Sacred Sons, so we'll find those ways to connect. Actually, and we'll talk about this off screen, but we're hosting a men's summit beginning of next year, so it'd be great to have you come hold that financial pillar for the men's summit.
Be an honor, man. I will be there. You just let me know.
Perfect.
Yep. Yes.
All right. With that, Coach JV, happy birthday to your daughter tomorrow.
Thank you.
Celebrate her well.
Yep.
Adam Jackson, Sacred Sons. We're out, family. Peace.